Pepe. And also joining us, we got Andre. Andre, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Pepe?
I'm doing great. So let's just jump right in it, man. So we got the Club World Cup, and we got Bayern Munich from Europe representing, the winner of the Champions League, and we got Tigres representing Concacaf, the Champions League of Concacaf of our confederation, and they clash. And are you surprised about this? The score of the game? Are you surprised how things turn out with this game?
Come on, is that a serious question, Pepe?
Yeah, I mean you have
no, not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
It's just.
I'm sorry to be so direct, Pepe, but that's honestly my my answer.
What I'm saying is, are you surprised that it was only one? Are you surprised that it was only 1-0? The Bayern just scored one goal against Tigres.
Okay, yes, I am, Pepe. I misunderstood your question a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm not surprised about the result of it whatsoever, as I think, most of the people that were watching it felt the same way. However, I am a little bit surprised at how well Tigres did in the match.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the lineups here a little bit. So, let's talk about Bayern and how Bayern line up. You got Manuel Neuer at the goalkeeper. One of the best goalkeepers I've ever seen. Seriously, this guy plays like a sweep keeper. He's like an extra defender right there for Bayern, don't you think? I mean, he's insane. Then we got Benjamin Pavard from France. Yeah, you got Nicolas Sule, who Sule is not a starter center back. Boateng is. So he played, because Boateng couldn't make this game because of personal reasons and stuff like that. So then we have Lucas Hernandez. And then we have Davis, who's one of the best, if not the best, left back in the world as of today. And then the midfield, it was a little bit interesting, the midfield, because you got Kimmich and Alaba. Alaba is one of those players that is, can play at multiple positions. He started as a left back, then kind of like transitioned to a center back. And this game, he played as a stopper, as a central defensive midfielder. And then you got at the top, you got Sané, Gnabry, Coman, and Lewandowski. I mean, that's what else there is to say, right? It's unbelievable. And I mean,
it is a scary foursome up there.
Yeah, they're fast, man. They were fast. And keeping in mind that Thomas Muller did not play this game. He's kind of like that football generator. He generates the football. Thomas Muller is not that type of player that you.
It's kind of a little engine for the top guys up there.
Yeah. He's something else, man. I mean, he's one of those players that you're like, really? Does this guy play, football? And then you watch him play, and then he's like, it blows you away. I mean.
Yes, that's very well described. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that description. Well said.
And then you got, let's talk about the lineup of Tigres. Tigres line up Al Patón Guzmán as a goalkeeper. This guy from Argentina, this goalkeeper is something else. I got to tell you, it is something else. This guy, is one of those players that will pull off one of the amazing saves or amazing plays. And it's kind of a gamble because this guy, sometimes can just, give you the best, like I said, a highlight or a low light, seriously. But he did quite well. And so, he's probably, the best goalkeeper at Liga MX. And I know a lot of people getting get pissed because, you got Ochoa. Yeah, but he's up there, and then on the defensive side of the ball, you got Dueñas at the left back, which, that's Tuca Ferretti improvised there, because Dueñas is not a left back. He's actually a defensive central midfielder that, Tuca Ferretti improvised and put him at the left back. And on the right back, you got Chaca Rodriguez, who's one of the best, if not the best, right back, in Liga MX. And at the center backs, you got Diego Reyes and Salcedo, who, they're not the best duo, but Salcedo had definitely seen better days, as well as Diego Reyes. But they're a decent, duo. at the center back, and then you got the midfield, with Aquino, Quiñones, at the wings, and then you got Guido Pizarro and Rafael Carioca trying to generate, the football at the midfield and, recuperate that ball and intercepts all those passes, and pretty much the soul of the team. And at the top, you got André Pierre Gignac. I mean, what there is? I mean, this guy is the best player in Liga MX. The French player. He's astonishing. And then you got Carlos Gonzalez, who, is a player. He's from Paraguay. He's done. He's done pretty well in Liga MX, I gotta say, with Pumas, and that's why he, Tigres went after him and got him from Pumas. But and that's how they, the team playing out 4-4-2 with Tigres and a 4-2-3-1 with Bayern. Now let me ask you this: Bayern only line up Lewandowski as the sole striker, and then Tigres had lined up two strikers right there. Do you think Tigres could have done a better job at lining up a better formation, keeping in mind that it was going to be a struggle at the midfield? Do you think Tigres could have just gone with one forward and then maybe use that second forward at the at the midfield? What do you think about that?
It's a thought. It's a thought. I think that coming into the match, you knew that Bayern was going to be so strong in every aspect of the pitch, to be honest. But if anything, that middle of the park situation needed to be controlled, right?
Yeah.
And I do think that Tigres' attack was a little bit heavy with Gonzalez and Gignac, both of them. I would have probably dropped Gonzalez and left Gignac up top by himself, and probably added another man into the middle of the park, giving them that 4-5-1, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
giving
exactly.
them that 4-5-1, and thus allowing them to have more of a man presence, getting more bodies in the middle of the park, right? Making it more of a ugly kind of matchup, so to speak. I felt like that would have favored them more, having the game being stopped, cutting the flow of the game a lot, which honestly I do think that they did pretty well throughout the match. I think that is one of the reasons why they were so successful, is that they, for so much of the match, they were able to cut that flow, that speed that Bayern is so known for playing with throughout the entirety of a match. But I feel like adding that other man in the middle of the park would definitely have emphasized that point even more throughout the game.
Yeah, seriously, no doubt. I mean, that's exactly what Gignac did the entire game. Gignac never saw the ball at the right there. I mean, that's the point that I was trying to make. I mean, Gignac just he would draw back and try to generate the football and trying to start the build up himself, at the midfield, and he's not a midfielder. That Gignac is a striker. So just watching him trying to generate football from the coming from the back, and then look at the front, and the only thing that he saw there was Carlos Gonzalez. And Carlos Gonzalez, seriously, I mean, he's not a bad striker. I mean, he's not a bad forward. He just didn't know what to do that game. I gotta say, he got intimidated by the circumstances, as well as Quiñones. And I want to say something. Tuca Ferretti is one of the most clever, if not the most clever head coaches in Liga MX, because he the way the way he lined up Tigres. You got Quiñones from the right side, and that was going to be a clear mismatch him against Alphonse Davis. Davis, like I said, he's the best left back in the world right now, because he acts as a left winger, more than a left back. He can just come in, back and forth and with ease, and he's amazing at that. And Quiñones is not a right midfielder. He's a winger. So Quiñones, what he's going to do is going to try to create attack, but he's not really a defender, so he's not going to drop back. And that was a mismatchup right there that Tuca Ferretti understood. And I'm pretty sure it took him about 15 minutes to find out that that's what's going to happen. That Bayern was going to try to attack on the left side of the field, and he understood that, and he switched Quiñones for Aquino. Aquino was playing on the left side of the field, and Aquino has he defends more than Quiñones, so that's what happened there. And I mean, you can see it, at the it wasn't even halftime, and Aquino was tired. He was tired because he was just running, against all the odds. I mean, you got Davis, Alava, Coman, Navri against against Aquino, Chaca Rodriguez, and Rafael Carioca. I mean, if you see them attacking on the left side of the field, these guys were just crushing the left side of the field. And I feel sorry for Aquino because I think it was like the 40 minute of the game, and he just looked tired, man. He really did. And Quiñones, man, such a disappointment.
He worked his butt off.
Yeah, no, Aquino worked his butt off. I mean, Aquino obviously has seen better days when he played with Villarreal, and now that he's playing with Tigres, he's one of the top players in Liga MX. Liga MX is we all know that it's played at a very slow pace. It's not European pace, and yeah, I mean, Aquino, I'm certain it was not even half time, and he was already it was done. He was worn out. And Quiñones, that's the thing that really embarrasses me the most about this game, is that Quiñones had the mismatchup against Sule, which I thought he was going to have that mismatch with Pavard, because Pavard is not that fast. He's never going to catch up. He's never going to try to, if Quiñones tries to beat him one-on-one, he will most definitely, win because of his speed. And that's one of the things that, actually surprised me the most, that Quiñones wasn't even going against Pavard, because Pavard was so focused on the attack that, he knew that Niklas Sule had his back. And Niklas Sule, we're talking about a tower. We're talking about a guy who, seriously, who's not that fast. We're talking about a center back, a 6'4", I believe. Niklas Sule is very tall. And, Quiñones, one of the fastest, probably top 5 fastest players in Liga MX, he never won a matchup against him. He never won a 50-50 situation, and it's just embarrassing, man.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, the podcast, but Quiñones was the sore thumb that stuck out. He was a major disappointment. Coming into the match itself, I did not know a whole lot about Tigres as a team itself, but just watching from the warm-ups and seeing these players line up, you kind of you saw where he was going to line up, and you saw the physique, of this guy, and you thought, well, this is going to be good. I wonder how this is going to look for Sule, right? Because
yeah, exactly.
Just by the physique of Quiñones, you're like, this guy's turn on the burners, you know what I mean? And is Sule going to be able to survive this hammering for the whole match like this, And it was nothing like that. There was like one occasion throughout the whole match that Quiñones, just kicked the ball past Sule and turned on the burners. And we're like, where was that the whole match? Where was that the whole match? Honestly, it was honestly kind of like a major letdown for anybody. I would think even as a neutral watching this match, it was a letdown for me. I can only imagine for Tigres aficionados, you know what I mean? Watching the game, like wake up, Quiñones, where are you?
Yeah. But the thing about the Tigres fan base is that they would never dare to disagree with Tuca Ferretti. Whatever Tuca Ferretti does with this team is the right thing to do for Tigres as far as the fan base of Tigres is concerned. So they'll never question Tuca Ferretti, which I do question. I mean, come on, you got a guy like I said, Quiñones, who he's not a lefty. His right foot is the one, and but still, I mean, when you're playing at the left wing, you know, and you're playing against Sule, the Bayern Munich is pretty much, Bayern is pretty much telling you, here, go ahead 1-on-1 against our center back, see if you can win. I mean, it was, they were daring Tigres to do that, and it was, it was, go ahead.
They're offering him the end line, right? Get to the end line and get past this guy. And you just said that he's a right footer, right? That's his predominant foot he's best with. So I don't know what Tuca what his rationale was behind it, but I mean, I'm not so familiar with Tigres. You are more in line with what they like to do. What other options were there for Tuca on the bench other than Quiñones?
Well, you got Julian Quiñones, who's another, he plays at the wing, and it's funny. I mean, they're the last name is they're Quiñones, and he actually ended up playing. I think he only played about 10 minutes because that's how Tuca Ferretti is. He's not going to jeopardize to lose 2-3-0 when they could have pretty much go for it. From it was the 75th minute, and Tuca Ferretti pretty much had the same lineup there, and that's the only sub that he did that caught my attention, as far as like getting a little bit more offense to bring a little more offense to Tigres, Julian Quiñones, and he got to the game. He only played 7 minutes, like I said, and when he got the ball, nothing new. It was just he was trying to use his speed, but I mean, it's hard when Bayern is already up on the score and they know they have the game on their pocket, and there's like 7 minutes to go. What I mean, they're just gonna drop back and try to kill you in the counterattack, and that's what they did, and Tigres, after the goal, they were just, they were ready to just go home, without the title. They were ready to just leave the match and say, yeah, I mean, this is it doesn't get any better than this, And as far as I'm concerned, that's the only sub that Tuca Ferretti made that that can pretty much tell you that he wanted to win the game. He wanted to at least tie the score. But that's it, man. I mean, what you saw of Tigres, this lineup, this is it. This is the team, the first squad of Tigres. And
yeah, this was their best. This was their best lineup they could have walked out onto the pitch with.
Exactly.
There's nothing really else to do. And that's, I mean, honestly, this is why I don't know if you want to move on to what we were going to discuss as well about how this tournament is actually seen by these clubs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because the level of disparity between the Europeans and the rest of the pack, it's astonishing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just difficult for you to be able to match up that kind of level of play.
Yeah. Well, honestly. That's it. Yeah.
And I mean, the thing that I say that I talked with other people I discussed the game with was, think about how Tuca would have loved to have had Douglas Costa on his lineup for Tigres, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Douglas Costa is on the Tigres, Luis Quiñones starting? I don't think so.
No way. No way.
And that's the thing. And so when you put that in perspective, Douglas Costa, he's not. It honestly is, and it will continue to be that kind of situation going forward as long as this tournament takes place. And as long as there's this huge disparity financially between these top European clubs and the rest of the world, we're going to keep getting these kind of results, honestly.
That is true. I mean, I agree with you there, but there's also more to it. I think that a lot of different things could have happened so that we had a better, more entertainment out of this game. I'm not saying that I wasn't entertained by this game, because in my thoughts, it was always this foolish thinking that Tigres could have at least score a goal, or put Bayern in a difficult spot, so that Bayern can come back and then pretty much seal the game at the last second, right? That did not happen. You knew that Bayern was already in control of the game. The 56% of possession of the ball, and then when you see the shots on target, 8 against 1 of Tigres, it's it hurts. It hurts because this is the best representation that we have of our continent, of America. Whether it's South America or North America, Tigres was there representing both. And it's hard for me to believe that there's the disparity. It's reflected by the outcome of this game. I don't think that that's what it is. I think that things can change, and that's one of the things that we're going to jump onto, and as to how these teams got to the final, and how these teams actually got to play the Club World Cup. Let's talk about Bayern, real quick, because that's a very straightforward shot. We all know how you get to the Club World Cup. If you play in Europe, so that 4 teams out of the most important leagues in Europe get to qualify for Champions League, right? And then from there you get a winner. But that's the thing, you get a winner. You get a winner out of these 4 teams, whether it's Bundesliga, whether it's Premier League, whether it's La Liga. There's only 4 teams that get to play for every single league in Europe. The problem with CONCACAF, and I see the difference between UEFA and CONCACAF. I'm not talking about club, I'm not talking about players, I'm not talking about money. I'm just talking about a pure format of competition here. And there's something wrong with CONCACAF. There's something wrong with Liga MX. And the problem with Liga MX, and as far as I'm concerned, because is that Liga MX is being run. They're trying to Americanize this league. I mean, how do you guys do in the Brasileirão? How does Brasileirão work? You have a long tournament, right? It takes place in the year, and the winner of that tournament is the champion for that year, right?
Yes.
That is, well, we don't have that in Liga MX. We have 2 champions every year, which is ridiculous if you ask me. We have a regular season, which is 17 games. There's only 17 teams in Liga MX, and then the one at the end of this tournament
is a little bit strange to me. Sorry to interrupt you, but that a little bit is just a little bit strange. If you look at most leagues in the world, they're comprised with 20 clubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why is Liga MX only 17 clubs in the at the first level of play? It's kind of strange.
It is kind of strange, but also it makes sense for me, because the monetary, the financials, are the problem with the majority of the teams and majority of the clubs in Liga MX. Not a lot of teams can afford to be in the first division. That's the main problem, because Liga MX has restrictions when it comes to attendance at the stadium. So they have a minimum of attendance. If they say to you, okay, you want to be a first division club in Liga MX, you have to have a stadium with a minimum of attendance of 20,000 people. So
okay, I see.
that puts clubs, that's the second division clubs in the tough spot
Really
because they don't have the money.
small clubs.
Yeah, they don't
Sure.
have the money to go ahead and do that. They have certain restrictions like that. And the problem, and like I said, one of the things that really that's wrong with Liga MX is the format of competition. They claim that the Liga MX has one of the toughest, formats of competition because you have a regular season, then you have a playoff, event. So it's kind of like a little bit it's like two tournaments within the tournament, which is, this is, you can leave this to NFL, to the NBA, to the MLB, American sports that, sports that only take place in one country, and they dominate, the entire world because of the fact that, the best players in the best league in the world, it happens within this country, right? But when soccer, it's the other way around. You have Europe, who's pretty much dominating, uh, you know, football for years and years and years. And you look at Liga MX, and you said to yourself, how does this even happen? I mean, seriously, how can the eighth seed of the league can have a chance to be the champion of this tournament, uh, of
Yeah.
of La Liga? I mean, that does not make any sense at all. And you know what happens? You're pretty much rewarding mediocrity, because you have teams that lay low at the beginning of the season, and they say, well, as long as we can make the eighth seed, we're still going to be in competition. We're still going to be in the hunt to get the title, to get the championship. And there's going to be inconsistency, and to my point, Tigres is not even the top four teams right now in Liga MX. And how is he representing CONCACAF? I bet you Tigres is not the best team right now in CONCACAF. There are better teams than Tigres right now, as at today, in Liga MX.
Oh, that's a big claim. That's a big claim you just made. So you're saying that the club that was representing CONCACAF at the FIFA Club World Cup right now is not the club in the region. Is that what you're claiming? That's what you said.
That is true. I am claiming that. And if you look at the way, teams qualify for CONCACAF Champions League, you're going to realize that that in Mexico, the teams that qualify for this CONCACAF Liga Campeones, it's whoever is the winner of Apertura and the runner-up as well. So two teams from Clausura, which is the first tournament of the year, qualify to the Champions League, and then the champion and the runner-up of Apertura also qualify for Champions League. So in a sense, it is true. Four teams are qualifying, to the Champions League, just like in Germany or Spain or England. Four teams qualify to Champions League. Four teams in Liga MX qualify for the Champions League. The problem with the way they do it in CONCACAF is that the first four, how can you do that? How can you make the top four teams qualify to CONCACAF Champions League when you have two tournaments? That does not make any sense, right? So they say, well, the only way we can qualify these teams is that the final, whoever plays the final in Clausura, those two teams are going to get automatically qualified to the CONCACAF Liga de Campeones, the Champions League of CONCACAF. And then the two finalists of the Apertura, the two teams that make it to the final, whether, it doesn't matter if you're a champion or you're just a runner-up, you qualify for the chance to go to the Club World Cup. So to me, I mean, it's a bit of a, it's so unorganized. This format, the way the teams qualify for the Club World Cup is just insane, man. Because you potentially, let's say a runner-up that like Tigres. I mean, Tigres was the champion. Tigres won the title back in 2019. 2019, and they still had a chance to qualify for this year CONCACAF Champions League. And guess what? They won it, and they got to the Club World Cup without even being the best team, even in the top four of Liga MX. I mean, doesn't that sound ridiculous to you?
Yeah, that is strange, to be honest. That is very strange.
I mean,
I did not know. I did not know the whole context of the situation.
yeah, it's such a weird, way to score and dictate which teams qualify for CONCACAF Liga de Campeones and which teams, do not. I mean, they just, to me, it's just, it's so weird because of the fact that Liga MX is being played as an American sport league, that they're trying to, it's all about the money. They know that when Liguilla time comes, when the playoff comes, ratings are going to go to the skies. People are going to be in tune, and that's when they get their money. But they don't realize the damage that they're inflicting upon the league and the Mexican talent that we create in our own league. I mean, that's the problem. That's the problem that we have, because we cannot afford to have patience, with clubs in terms of developing, the next, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, the next, Hugo Sanchez, the next Rafa Marquez. We don't have time to do those things because of the fact that this tournament is so short. So,
Right.
and it sucks because the way this tournament works, it doesn't even let teams go out there and play a Libertadores or play this Club World Cup. I mean, Tigres right now, has to play, Tigres right now should be playing Liga MX right now, but because of the calendar, they had to postpone a couple of games to come, to go ahead and play this tournament. And at the end of the day, they're going to come back and they're going to play those games, but it shouldn't be that way. It should be the way Bayern is playing it. It should be the way Palmeiras is playing it, and it's just one of those things, that we had in our football, and yet we fail to understand what is wrong, and that is, it blows me away. It really does.
Yeah, that's it's good you put things in perspective for context.
Yeah,
Because
see,
for people that don't follow much Mexican football, wouldn't have that understanding that we have now.
yeah, exactly. So, and to put things even more in perspective, Tigres got to the final this year of the Club World Cup because of the fact that did not face Bayern in the semifinals, like Monterrey did in the past, tournament. In the past tournament, Monterrey faced Liverpool, in the semifinals, and this year Tigres didn't have that problem, didn't struggle with that situation, because of the way things turned out. They ended up playing Palmeiras, and then they got to the final there, because otherwise, you know, Tigres, and that's what people, they it's a huge misunderstanding that they're saying Tigres, oh my God, it's such a great accomplishment. It is a great accomplishment to make it to the final, but you got to understand how things happen. If you see right now, that's Monterrey against Liverpool. What are the differences between this game and this game? And Tigres against Bayern. If you look at the statistics right now, Tigres only had one shot on target, man. And throughout the whole game, look at Monterrey against Liverpool in the semifinals. Look at shots on target. Liverpool had 6. Being Liverpool dominated that year. Right now it looks like everything is falling apart for them, but that year, Liverpool dominated. They had 69% of possession. But look at Monterrey right here, 8 shots on target. They did score a goal, and it took Firmino to come into the game and score that goal at the last minute on the aggregate to win this game. I mean, that's how you win games. Monterrey came close to it, but it didn't happen, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, knowing that they did whatever they could. They did their best. They took their chances. They did put up, 8 shots on target, and I'm okay with that. But Tigres, man, Come on, man. One shot on target? Seriously? I mean, to me, it's such a huge disappointment, and it totally projects and totally shows what we're talking about right now. The way things play out, the way we neglect things, the way we deny, you know, what is doing us, wrong. That's what happens with our football in Mexico. We see the real problems, and yet we don't do anything about it, and we think it's something else. The problem is it's not there. It's something else. We know what our problem is. The problem with Liga MX is they gotta get their league right. They gotta go back to the long tournaments. They gotta start awarding consistency, and they gotta stop, rewarding mediocrity. You don't get rewarded for mediocrity, but that's what happens with Liga MX.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's uh that's very interesting. That's a pretty good rundown of to give us a better understanding of what takes place in Liga MX.
yeah. So yeah, no, it's one of those things that you don't really know. A lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people think that that there's something wrong with the head coach, or there's something wrong with the players, or they probably have a bad luck. No, everything starts from within. If you have a strong platform and you have a strong foundation, you know you're likely it's likely for you to achieve success, because you built it the right way, and it's going to go right. When things don't start right, they're not going to end, right. So that's all I have to say about Liga MX right now. And yeah, and that's what happens. But you know one another thing that we want to point out here in this podcast is that what happened to Palmeiras, man? Tigres faced them on the semifinals. I mean, let me ask you this, Andre. Is Palmeiras, because Palmeiras won the Libertadores, is that right?
Yeah, they were
So in
champions
order
of
yeah,
Libertadores.
yeah. In order to be in this Club World Cup, a team from South America has to win the Libertadores. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. Is Palmeiras the number one team in South America?
Objectively, they're not. This they won the tournament, but like we said, going back to the situation of what you were saying, consistency is the big key, right? Is the aspect of it. Uh, the number one, the number one team in in, in South America, in the continent, without a doubt, would have to go to Club Atlético River Plate. You know,
Yeah.
they are since 2015 they have been on a tear. I mean, they won in 2015. They won the title against these very same Tigres right here in the finals of Copa Libertadores. They also the following season they came into the semifinals and lost out. Then in 2017 they made it to the finals again. And so they've been either in the semifinals or the finals of Copa for the past 5 years. So, I mean, you can't get more consistent. And the bad thing that happened to them is that even the best teams, sometimes they're bound to have a really bad day, right? They're bound to have a bad night. And, uh, to their credit, played a very good match against River Plate in Buenos Aires and actually beat them 3-0 at home. Away, actually, I should say. Beat them 3-0 away, which is a big surprise to everyone, right?
Mhm.
And coming 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 back, what happened was everybody gave River Plate for dead. It's like, well, it's going to be a very difficult task to go into São Paulo and actually end up beating Palmeiras and eliminating them after having such a disastrous first match, right? Disastrous
Mhm.
home leg. And I mean, I gotta be honest with you. The game they didn't quite quite reach the goal, but they won the match 2-0. But I mean, I had never seen Palmeiras get smashed playing at home the way River Plate played against them. It was like, you ever seen a one-side show? Like it was like River Plate was playing against themselves, to be honest. Like,
Wow.
I mean, Palmeiras, like, they couldn't even, for the first uh, uh, 30 minutes or so of the match, they couldn't even get out of their own first half with the ball. I mean, that's how bad it was. Now, I don't understand if they thought that it was over and they just were, you know, uh, uh, entering the pitch by requirements or whatever. But they had to understand that they were playing against the defending champions, and they weren't going to go away easy, even after losing the first match 3-0, right? So,
Right.
I mean, there is a little bit of complacency that settles in. These guys are humans as well. So even though they are professional athletes, they are human. So, but I mean, as River Plate scored that first goal, you just saw it coming, and you saw it coming because much before the opening the score, they had so many close chances. They had, I don't know, I think they had like three balls hit the crossbar. I mean,
Wow.
it was a one-way attack, like I've never seen before. And even at the end of the match, you could just see Abel Ferreira, the Portuguese manager that's Palmeiras coach. He was just begging the referee to just end the match already, end it, and we've all watched those types of games. Where, like, the team that's getting plummeted like that, they just cannot wait for the referee to blow that final whistle because they want to get out of there. They're just so scared that they might lose that qualification because things are just not going. It's one of those games that is like they don't know why hit them. The best comparison I can actually put it is the same scenario that happened with Barcelona and Liverpool, right? A couple years back.
Oh, actually, it was Barcelona and Chelsea, right? You're talking about Barcelona and Chelsea when Chelsea.
No, I'm talking specifically Barcelona and Liverpool. Remember? Liverpool
Yeah.
went to come.
You're talking about when they won 4-0. Yeah. Yeah. And
And then the second leg was at Anfield, and Liverpool ended up eliminating Barcelona. And everybody was like, "Oh my God!" And Barcelona didn't even know what hit them in that game. They before they could blink, they were left for dead already. It's this exact same scenario that played in the second leg with River Plate and Palmeiras, honestly. But it just wasn't enough. They couldn't make the comeback, But it proved to everyone, yes, it's not by chance that this has been the most dominant club on the continent for several years now. You know what I mean? I mean, even the previous year in 2019, the previous season, when they had lost out to Flamengo in the final of the Copa. I mean, Flamengo was not. They did not play the best football in the match. River Plate was the better team in the match, but all it takes is for one player to make a mistake in a bad part of the field, bad part of the pitch, and it can be a dagger, right? And Lucas Prato had he's a heavy player. He's a big center striker. He was in the wrong place. He had the ball in the midfield. He lost it, and Flamengo has very a quick team and very fast extremos, puntas, and they scored at the end of the game. It was like 2 minutes left for the game to end, and there was not enough time. But for 80% of that, with that, River Plate was the better team, and so even losing in the previous season, they still should have won. You know what I mean? So no, to answer your question, Palmeiras is not the best club in the continent. They won the season, but it's that old saying, guys. It's not because a club won or a team wins the title. It doesn't necessarily make them the top team, right? There's a lot of factors. There are a lot of things, a lot of contextualized situations that has to break in their favor, that has to go their way, right? So if you're to look at who's been the most successful club in the continent, without a doubt, it's been River Plate. And let's say, if Palmeiras were to play River Plate 5 times, probably River Plate would win 4 out of 5 times, I would say.
Yeah. No, I got it. I get you. But let me ask you this: how how often do you see this situation happen in Copa Libertadores? The situation that happened with Palmeiras, and not necessarily Palmeiras was the better team, and they ended up winning it all. But how often do you think this? I mean, how often do you see this happen? Do you see this happening often? Not really, right?
You're saying with the Copa team losing out like that?
What I'm saying is, how often does a team that we all knew it wasn't the best team of Copa Libertadores ends up winning Copa Libertadores? We don't see that, happening very often, do we?
Um,
Can you remember a Copa Libertadores champion that won Copa Libertadores, and you're like, no way, they got? I mean, I don't even know how they got to be the champions.
yeah, actually, I remember I don't remember the exact year, but that happened with Once Caldas from Colombia. Nobody knew how they won the tournament,
Okay,
right?
but
They
that
did.
doesn't happen. Yeah, but that doesn't happen very often, right? That's my point. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
No,
Usually,
I mean,
usually,
no.
yeah. You always know.
Yeah, no,
It's
you know the clubs that are going to be there. You kind of know. You have your powerhouses in the continent, right? You have Boca Juniors, River Plate, São Paulo, Palmeiras. Have your several teams from Colombia, Atlético Nacional, um, uh, Deportivo Cali. You have a couple teams that will be there. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But Copa is very, very competitive tournament, man. So
No, it is. It
it's
is.
like it's difficult for a small team to actually end up winning the whole thing. That is very difficult. If that's what you're asking, it's very difficult. But there has been several. Well, every year almost there's several. Just like it happens. It's not unheard of. It's not a foregone conclusion such as the champions. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The Champions League. Copa is a wild tournament, man. It's a wild west there, But more often than not, the bigger club ends up winning the whole thing. If that's
Yeah.
what you're asking, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And don't you think that's a better representation of the confederation, for the whole confederation itself? So don't you think that whenever Boca, is doing their thing and they're being the huge contenders and they end up winning Copa Libertadores, or whether it's Sao Paulo or whether it's Flamengo, or whether it's River Plate, don't you think it's a better, if you're sending a team from your confederation, Conmebol, from South America to the Club World Cup, don't you want that team to be the best team of your confederation? You want that, right? Because chances are that, yeah, because chances are that team is gonna go and make a run for it. He's probably gonna give a hell of a game against the European team. Whoever ends up winning the Champions League. Well, that does not happen in Concacaf, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. That Palmeiras, the case of Palmeiras or Once Caldas, is the case every single year in CONCACAF. The winner of CONCACAF not necessarily is the best team in CONCACAF. That's the problem with CONCACAF. The way the way CONCACAF the Champions League is played doesn't really they don't really deliver the champion, the real deal, the team that is actually taking over in the confederation. So that's the problem
Yes.
with our confederation. We don't have that in like Conmebol had that. Conmebol, every single year the likelihood to send a good representative of their confederation is very high. Chances are it's either River Plate, Boca Juniors, Sao Paulo, Flamengo. The big teams. Inter, Porto Alegre. I remember Corinthians that they beat Chelsea back in 2012. So to me, the right way to do soccer, to do football, it's the South American way. I don't understand why CONCACAF, because I understand that the money side of it. They're making their money, and I understand that. But if you want to develop, if you want to really compete for that title, and just make yourself respectful. Make people respect you. When you don't have respect for your leagues, when you don't have respect for your tournament, you're not going to get that respect. Respect is earned. It's not given. So that's what happened with CONCACAF is so far away from Conmebol, they have known the right way for years and years and years, which is the classic way, the original way to do soccer. In CONCACAF, they think they know everything. They're so, they're so arrogant the way they do football here, and the consequences are there. I mean, Tigres,
Yeah.
I understand that they beat Palmeiras because Palmeiras was just such an extraordinary case when not necessarily they're the best team in Conmebol, but nevertheless, they ended up winning it. When they won the Copa
Well,
Libertadores.
take credit away from Tigres. Palmeiras is a top club in the continent. That's like, don't get me wrong, they are.
Yeah,
Tigres,
but I'm talking about
beat,
but here's the thing.
they didn't beat a dead horse.
Yeah.
This is the club with the most Brazilian first division championships. And how Brasileirão is competitive, and so that tells you what you need to know. They beat a big club.
Yeah, no, they certainly did. What I'm saying is, I'm not talking about history. I'm not talking about titles. I'm purely talking about the moment. Usually
True.
the team that has, they're in the moment, they're in their zone. They're the ones that are going to take it. They're going to be the champions. And for me, if I'm sending a representative of my confederation, I want that team to be the team that they're in their game, in the zone. That they have a great team, and it's their moment to aspire for something greater than just a domestic title. You want to brand your confederation, your CONCACAF. You want to do it with the best team, and guess what? Tigres is not the best team. And a lot of people are going to say, well, they got Gignac. They're top five. They're top three teams right now in Liga MX. Well, tell it to the table. If you look at the table right now, Tigres is not even the top four right now in Liga MX. It hasn't been for a while. So, you can tell me that you have Gignac. You can tell me that you have Aquino. You can tell me that you have Guzman. You have, Carlos Gonzalez. You have Quiñones. It doesn't even matter, man, because you're not even in the top four, and you cannot tell me that you're the best team if you're not even on the top four of your league, So that, to me, it's a bad representation of the confederation. And we are cases like Palmeiras, the way they won it. And you're saying that the way they win it, not necessarily, they not necessarily dominated the whole tournament, but they ended up winning it. That's a weird case that doesn't happen very often in Conmebol, in Copa Libertadores, So, but that's the case that I'm trying to make. This happens all the time in CONCACAF, and at the end of the day, we ask ourselves, what happened? Why couldn't they be better? We know the answer, which is, we live in denial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
That's gonna be it for today. But Andre, it was very good talking to you, and we're gonna be doing a lot.
Yes,
we're gonna be doing
great
a lot
talk.
of this. Great talk.
Beautiful game.
Yeah. All right, brother. You take it easy.
All right, you guys take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.